Hello there, Fright fans. Welcome to the Horror Show. I am Jaime and Fuego here at the Game On Expo 2017, completing our Mortal Kombat circle with Master Daniel Pesina. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me, man. Get over here.
Exactly. And that was one of many characters that you played. I mean, now granted, by the time he was with a sliced face, I know you were gone from the franchise in the third installment, but for 1 and 2, you were responsible for Johnny Cage, for Sub-Zero, for Scorpion, obviously, with the get over here. But I also, by doing some research, was astounded at the extent of work you did with developing the combat system and just really working with John to kind of craft how the gameplay went down. Explain some of that process. That's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't meticulous. We set up a video camera, and then we did every move I knew in front of the camera, and just to see how it would turn out. So, you know, the beginning days the hours were long.
Sure.
Yeah. So we shot about 24 hours worth of video, and we couldn't use any of that. It taught us everything we should not do.
Well, you learn, sometimes on the fly, right?
Yeah, a little fatality. But it was fun because I knew John. We played Dungeons and Dragons together, so
And you were a kindred spirit off the bat.
Yeah. I'm a geek, so yeah, we just had fun shooting the game.
Excellent. So by the second installment, the popularity was growing, but as was the notoriety of the series. And I still remember I was, I believe, 9 years old when the original arcade game came out, and that's when all of the fervor about video game ratings and all of that was coming. And when I was talking to one of the other members of your crew here, your Mortal Kombat family, I think video games became so much more violent over the years, and with no context for the violence, that I kind of think Mortal Kombat got a bad rap at the time, at least me personally. What were your thoughts when all of that was going down, all of the controversy about the series?
Yeah, I can understand them, the controversy, but the whole thing is when we made the game, we never planned on it going to home system. When you're designing a game for an arcade, you think, who goes to arcade? No, not really little kids go to arcade.
Not super little kids.
Yeah, you're a teenager or something around that age. Almost 12, 13, 14, 30, 40, 50. You go to arcade.
I still go to arcades. I'm here playing arcade games this weekend.
Dude,
Shang Tsung wins. Fatality.
One of my friends, Doc Mack, has an arcade. I'm there at least once a week. So,
nice.
So I still go out and play games, whatever games I could get my hands on. Yeah, so we designed it for that crowd, not necessarily smaller children, but, people want to blame different things on different people, so they wanted to put the blame on Mortal Kombat.
Well, and then the funny thing was, it only lasted one run, because by the time the second Mortal Kombat came out, Nintendo wasn't censoring the blood or anything. They kind of came key to the fact that, maybe we're going a little overboard on this. Just put the ratings on and let the proper target audience actually have access to it.
Yeah. I think that was, like I said, change is growth, so, you change with the times.
Excellent. So I have to ask about Ninja Turtles 2, obviously, your involvement with that. Were you just stunt doubling as a foot soldier, or I love Secret of the Ooze personally. The first one was a little dark for my taste as a little kid, and so when the second one got a little goofier, you got Vanilla Ice in there and all that silliness. I mean, I love the second one. What was your process working on that project?
Yeah, actually I was at a tournament called Battle of Atlanta, and they were there picking out people to be in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and got approached, hey, come down. We like the way you look, come down. So went to North Carolina, spent almost 4 months there shooting the movie. I got to do some acting on it. Unfortunately, it never came out in the movie, but
we want that on the Blu-rays. Come on, guys.
Yeah. So it was a fun time,
Excellent. Now, I know that after you departed briefly from the Mortal Kombat franchise, you tried to do some competing games. There was one which was kind of a pseudo-sequel to Time Killers and a few others. Not to bring up, dirty laundry or anything, but were you trying to just outdo the franchise that you helped start? Or
no, actually, Ho-Sung wanted to go into the video game business. Ho-Sung was Liu Kang. So he was like, hey, I'm going to have some projects. Will you help me do the projects? Because he knew I did MK. And again, with Ho-Sung, I knew him way before MK. So I was like, sure, I'll do that. So we're doing games.
Why not?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. Did you continue playing the games after leaving the franchise, or did you just kind of take some time away before rejoining for the reunions and whatnot?
Actually, yeah. So with the games, I don't really play the games.
I was curious.
Yeah, if I go to an event or something like that, I'm happy to play
Street Fighter instead.
Fans, no, the fans want to play me, beat my ass. I don't have a problem with that. Last night I got my butt kicked a lot, but and it's fun. It's all you're still playing a game, man. It's awesome. I'm geeking out. Yeah.
So what's your favorite type of game then? What like genre do you like?
I actually like shooter games. I started out with Halo, Call of Duty, things like that. Because with the fighting games, I'm like, I wouldn't fight like that. That guy would not beat me. So it's really difficult for me to play fighting games.
That makes sense because you're analyzing the process and you're like, oh, this is silly. That's terrible. Well, it's like when my dad watches cop movies and they've got like their fingers on the triggers and they're not holding the guns right. And he's just like, this is terrible. I can't even watch this silliness.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah.
So being into nerdier stuff and geeky stuff, do you like horror at all? Do you like anything scary?
Yes, I like everything scary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite? Do you like slasher stuff? Do you like supernatural stuff? Do you like monsters, ghosts? What's your jam, or do you like it all?
I do not like slashers because I'm always like, dude, that guy would not get me.
The same thing.
And all of us guys, all of us from the first Mortal Kombat, we're all like geeks like that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes Rich and I would be like, dude, what I would do? I would chop them up in little pieces, and then I would put each piece in a different piece of cement and see him try to come back from that stuff. And I'm like, what I would do? I would chop them in little pieces and then throw them into the fire and then have them come back from that. So we we do not like the slasher movie.
You really thought into that, though.
Yeah, exactly. My brother's like, I wouldn't even go there. I would see, like, oh, it's creepy. I'm going back home, So yeah.
Spooky house. No thanks. What are we doing here?
But I do like, I like ghosts, supernatural, anything like that. I will pay money for that, even if it's bad.
So then, are there any like horror stuff where you think that there was actual decent fighting or whatever? I mean, people point to Buffy or things like that. Did they really do it good in any like property you've seen, or not? Not really.
Well, for the time. Like Buffy, the martial arts are a little mainstream, even though they try to add some contemporary wushu stuff in it, with the jumps and the twisting and the spinning. It's not like if you watch like a Thai movie or a Chinese movie, the fighting is very, very different. So I think that's an area that can be expanded on to make it a little more attractive. The only thing with that is you have to actually be trained in martial art. Right now, martial arts stunt, you could take a workshop, 6-7 weeks, and you could pretend that you're fighting. Even though when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that he would have broke his fist if he ever punched anybody in the head. But that's me. Yeah. So I'm a little very particular about that stuff. But I love horror. Yeah. Man, I love horror. Yeah, I like. I can't wait for the new Jeepers Creepers coming out.
The third one.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm like, I'll see that like 10 times.
What's the last one you saw that you really enjoyed recently?
Recently, I saw Annabelle.
The sequel?
Yeah, the sequel.
Yeah. We were at the press for that just the other night. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's scary stuff. And I love stuff like that because as a martial artist, when I see stuff like that, it's like, how do you really fight that?
Yeah, it's a little different when there's a girl in a wheelchair and, a nun comes behind her and pushes her into a shed. I mean, what are you going to do there?
Or even the old days, like Hell House. Mm-hmm. That's a classic. And it's like, well, how do you really fight that? You can't really fight that. It's like, it's a good scare.
Yeah.
It's realistic.
Yeah, I can see why, at least you in the fighting, background and everything, you're like, I would kick that monster's head off, or I would, beat the crap out of this slasher. But the supernatural, the stuff we can't necessarily physically touch or properly combat unless you got like a proton pack or something. Right, I mean, exactly. What else are you going to use?
Yeah. And again, my brother and Rich, same thing. They're like, oh my God, how would we get out of that? And I'm like, dude, we wouldn't get out of that. Because it's my brother, myself, we always tease Rich. We'd throw it to Rich in there. We throw Kano in there. Let him devour Kano and Raiden and Scorpion Johnny Cage would escape.
Well, I have such fond memories playing the original game as a kid because my little brother's favorite was Johnny Cage, and because his name was John, obviously, yeah. And then Sub-Zero was my favorite, hence the attire. I did take the mask off, though, so I could show this silly hair of mine. But I have to say, you really just many great memories, Master Daniel, man, and it was such a great pleasure to get to talk to you. Now, you still have a training school in Chicago that you operate, correct?
Yes. While I'm at the event, my brother Carlos is teaching, so
Sweet.
he works and I get to come out to play. But yeah,
Play games.
yeah. It's interested. Go to MasterDanielPesina.com or MasterPesina.com. Either one. You can look for me on Facebook, Master Daniel Pesina, on Twitter, Master Pesina. You can't get enough of that stuff. And on Instagram, Master D Pesina.
Bam! You got them all, the full spectrum, man. Very nice.
Yeah. And thanks for having me, man.
Oh, dude, it was a pleasure to get to talk to you, seriously. I mean, once again, this is nostalgia of the finest order for me, and the fact that we're still remembering it 25 years later shows that you created some pretty memorable stuff, and, with the franchise going stronger than ever right now, I think you're in good shape. So
Yeah, thanks. The horror show audience, get over here.
Beautiful. Well, gracias once again, and until more coverage coming from here at the Game On Expo 2017 in Phoenix, stay scared.